It's nice to see the upgrade here at Union High, man. You guys are carrying on a great tradition and renovating and getting new and better. I love it.
Now we're working on better.
Yeah.
Better is a lifelong pursuit.
Never-ending quest. Exactly. Never-ending quest.
Okay. So, Trenton, is our mics are on?
The mics are on, the camera's on.
Okay, good. Okay.
We're actually trusting Trenton to do the cameras. And so maybe want to double check that?
Yeah, Trent's pretty good at his job.
Actually, if there's anybody I know we can rely on, is Trenton.
Okay. So we're just gonna go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Nihar. I'm the president of Teens for Democracy.
Denise?
Hi, Denise.
My name's Alex. I'm the vice president of Teens for Democracy.
Alex, I've met you over the years as well, growing up, right?
Have I?
I think you've been in Manteca?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you and the family around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm Rohan.
Rohan.
I'm Davis. I'm the secretary.
Excellent.
Peter Gale, a teacher on campus.
Trenton Bradshaw, part of the film team.
Sorry, speak up, can't hear you.
Trenton Bradshaw, part of the film team.
Thank you.
I'm Monica Cabrera.
I'm Brady. I'm an English teacher here, and I'm the faculty advisor for Teens for Democracy.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm Sophia Chen. I'm the head mom.
We've met.
Yes.
Robin Bradshaw, Trenton's mom.
Good. Well, first off, I'm just honored to be here, but I really want to appreciate all the adults, and you guys are part of the school to that extra effort and be part of their kids and their development and be here with great enthusiasm. So really glad to join you.
Okay. So tell us about yourself. Just introduce yourself.
Before, during, or after? Like, what timeline? Where do you want to be?
Wherever you want.
So some of you may know that I just finished 8 years as a county supervisor. So if I back up from there, local business owner. And previous to that, I did theater, TV, movies in New York and Hollywood. Previous to that, I was a boxer. Myself and Mike Tyson lived and trained together for 5 years. And before that, I was a high school student. So that was a good 40-year jump. But I'm thrilled to be back in the private sector and out of public life, having done my 8 years, and I'm very proud of what I accomplished.
Okay, great. So we can get started with our questions. When you look back at your 8-year term on the Board of Supervisors, what needs felt the most urgent, and how did you decide what to prioritize throughout those 8 years?
Gosh, great question. What do you prioritize? You find the things that are most critical, what's most pressing, and the things that are recurring. For instance, homeless was something that it kept building and growing and growing, and it wasn't going away, and it was being talked about. So that just kept rising to the top of issues that need to be addressed. And then COVID came along, and we got hit sideswiped with something like that, and that was unanticipated. So now you had to deal with a crisis in addition to some critical things that we're dealing with on an ongoing basis. But when COVID came along, I mean, we're standing up, we're fighting back, we're pushing back, we're dealing with the unknown. We're also, as a board, when an emergency declaration of health is declared, the board loses power and it cedes to the higher authorities of medical, health, and even our own medical director that we appoint. So in so many instances, we found that we as a county, we could not be more strict. We could not be less strict than what the governor and the health directives were. We could be more strict, but we could not be less. So our hands were tied in many, many instances. For me, I knew the lifeblood and the challenge was jobs, economy. I mean, what are we doing? Things are critical. So I fought very hard to do things simple like open up golf courses. And in my district, I had 5 or 6 golf courses, which was hundreds of employees. And you come to find out that for every week you're shut down, it's $10,000 of damage. And we literally, our county council is like, you can't even mow the lawn because it was said it's not essential on the governor's list. I'm like, hold on a second. Mowing a lawn, there's not a person around you within 200 yards when you're out there mowing your yard, maintaining the grounds. But our county council was adamant that we could not do it. Well, I bucked that. I fought it, and I made certain that if the golf courses are open in Sacramento, where the governor resides and where the state assembly is, certainly we here in San Joaquin County, 35 miles away, can open up all golf courses. So it seemed like a lot of things, and people attacked me for it, that it's as if this is place of privilege. But no, it was actually the best thing you could do was be outdoors, not stuck indoors, where you build the viral load. And we were approached by an organization called Bayesian that said, listen, we think we have a metrics of measurement. We can predict who needs the vaccines and where the highest risk is. And what they did was they identified density. They identified the size of apartments and dwellings, and they predicted that the viral load will be highest, and the people at greater health risks would be those that were living in those tighter, closed environments. And true to their word, this is exactly what they found. We prioritized them, we targeted, we got them vaccinations, we were doing everything we can to help that region. And then the governor came along and said, no, Blue Shield and Blue Cross is going to do a better job. You guys have to throw away your system. We're going to do it better through a lottery system. And it was actually terrible. So there was things that that came along that were challenging with COVID, but we pushed through it. And you know, as everybody, we just make adjustments around it. So that's
Right.
kind of a good idea of some of the scope of what we had to deal with.
Yeah. What's one issue in the county that you still think isn't getting the attention that it deserves?
Without question, the homeless. Yeah, without question. That was something I was team building. I was putting together alliances with cities. And in fact, I came to Manteca. I went to Tracy, Lodi, Stockton, and on my own, I sat down. What do you need to address the homeless? Like, well, I don't know. I said, what if you put on pencil and paper what a shelter would look like? And let me help you springboard that. The cost you would need to start the shelter, let me give you that. The board, if we approve it, the board can give you that. And then the money you would use to build your shelter, you can use to operate your shelter so that we can get a jump. And the idea was to build this alliance so that we have proof of concept. When you have proof of concept, then you can go to the private sector, then you can go to the government and even the public and ask, is there an appetite to fund these programs in perpetuity to help those that are in a crisis, those that need assistance, they need care. They have people that have mental health. We have drug addiction, which is 88 to 98% is all substance abuse. It's more so than anything else. So that wasn't fully realized. I've been a lot of resistance. There's a lot of pushback because the status quo was the government will fix it by giving us money for housing first. And that is a proven failure model. 50% of people that go into the housing first die in the first 5 years. So, and it's a repetitive cycle that's just not working. Challenging the status quo, making a paradigm shift is difficult. We were on track, and then I turned out, and there's some things that were still in motion. But as a couple of people have called me and said, once you left, that drive to get it done, to keep pushing forward, that backed off.
Okay. Yeah. And like you were saying that these different city councils had different ideas on how to tackle that issue. How did you balance these county level decisions with the different needs of Stockton, Manteca, Lodi, and the rural areas?
Well, the most important thing was not trying to impose on them what needed to happen, but seeing if there was symmetry and there was a joint effort that could be made so that there's enforcement, but there's also support services and an alternate location to go. And that was really, it was a requirement that the Ninth Circuit Court had mandated, and then the Supreme Court overthrew it. But I still thought it's important that we have to have an alternative. Where else can you go? At least we're going to enforce it because you can't be here. Being here is you're going to be raped, you're going to be drugged, you're going to be robbed, you're going to be taken advantage of. Bad things are happening nightly to people that are unsheltered and living in squalor and despair. And it's a human tragedy. If we wouldn't leave a puppy beside a road with definite safety, health, and major safety concerns, if we wouldn't leave a puppy there, why would we leave a human being there? Yes, it might. The human might be resistant, just like the dog might be resistant. The dog might be aggressive. The dog might be shy. The dog might want to run away. Well, so might a person that is completely lost hope or lost their way, or just wants to be left alone to do their drugs, or be stuck in a cycle where they actually need help. they need intervention. So I felt that this was the mandatory approach we needed to take. And we also led by example. The San Joaquin County is now in the midst of building a wellness campus for people that are in major drug addiction, people that have mental health crisis, and then from the basically a hospital, there's going to be supportive housing, independent housing, all on one campus. So that's something that we helped move forward, replicating success down in Orange County.
Okay. Um,
Gosh, I was out of all this for the last 11 months. Now it's like
yeah.
back on the
It
issues.
doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
How do you think the county should approach rising concerns about safety, like you said, about homelessness? Like, what is some actionable items that you think the county can take?
Well, so understanding the county is the outer perimeters of a city. Most of your issues are going to be inside the city. However, we have a behavioral health department. We have other the human services agencies. We have other resources that we can utilize. You make sure that there's an open door. You make sure that there's open dialogue, that there isn't a polarized, there aren't icebergs or isolated islands. I'm sorry, there aren't islands within the county. What can we have? And each supervisor, I know for a fact, is engaged in their districts, is there with the relationships to finding out what's needed, what's going on, what's the needs and the greater concerns inside your city, and how can we help? The county has been in a really good financial position for the last decade plus. We opened up, we brought money out to, I'll give you an example. Every year we would have, at the end of the budget, we'd have roughly a couple $100,000 of discretionary funds for your non-government organizations, local nonprofits. And it was always the same 10 or 12 people would ask for 5, 10, 20,000. And we would allocate out about $180,000. By the time I left, we were up to $4.5 million. And I opened that up. I was like, we have money, we have resources, we have the need in the community that this is happening in the city. So Boys and Girls Club, we've got a multitude of agencies. But in the midst of all of it, I also noticed, who was never present? Who was never once asking for anything? The veterans organizations. Never one time were they at a meeting going, we need a new roof. We have a kitchen issue, as seen over here in Manteca, where there was never an ask from us, from the veterans. Why? They were proud. They were self-sufficient. They were going to do their chicken dinners, and they were going to raise money eventually getting there. So I tasked there's a regional director for all of the veterans service organizations. And I said, give me a punch list of everything needed at every facility: roof, windows, paint, plumbing, flooring, you name it. We put together a punch list. They did. Came back, and we fully funded another $4.5 million to all of those facilities and all of those agents, all of those veteran service organizations, to help them improve the quality of what they were dealing with. I mean, I used to go to some functions, be 105 degrees outside, and you got 80, 90-year-old veterans inside, and it's 115 degrees inside. There was no air conditioning. There was nothing. We fixed that.
Yeah. And
you got to be proactive.
Right.
Like these things, it's like you have to have eyes and ears. What's going on? What more can we do? And again, the county was in a good, we were in good financial status to do that.
Right. So with all of this, I mean, with the changes that you made while on the board, what did serving on the board really teach you about how this government works behind the scenes?
Gosh, how government works behind the scenes. Interesting. It can be very polarizing, where some people try to protect their territory and they resist change. And you find that in particular with the homeless, digressing into that in conversation, because there are some people that are involved in homeless services, and they are, as we speak, they're becoming multimillionaires from government funding. What a misuse of the allocations we have to offer, right? Because the population of homelessness has gone up 40% since they instituted the housing first remedy. Billions of dollars are being spent, so we are creating cottage industries. If you challenge that status quo, you're going to be upsetting somebody's pet projects. You're going to be upsetting somebody the way somebody feels it needs to be handled. So there's a fine balance, and what you really want to find is who can you align with that has the same type of vision to think differently, think outside that box. You really truly, so many people, we've even had staff members that it just has to stay inside this little box because that's what I'm comfortable knowing. And they're without the ability to think outside and open up the possibilities of success. So my constant thought was, what can we do different, better, or more of it to improve the outcomes? We don't want to waste the money. If it's not working, let's adjust and let's allocate resources to something that might be different and give a better result.
Right. And in all of this, I mean, were there ever moments where political pressure clashed with what you believed was the right call, and how did you handle it?
Listen, I don't know if you're aware of this. I was front page article in the San Francisco Chronicle talking about me and the investigations. And if you read this, you'd have to hate me because there were so many terrible things being written. There was like 60 plus investigations. And what happened we had 2 board members. And by the way, understand that when you get together with other boards of supervisors we have a California State Association of Counties, there are literally seminars on how to deal with a contentious fractured board. So what I'm talking about is not unique, but what I dealt with was quite malicious. They put together, before I arrived, an ethics code that included, you must be courteous, you must be friendly, you must be professional, you must it must be honest. So if I give my opinion, and someone else says, well, that's contrary to what I believe, that I'm not being honest on something, or I'm somehow upsetting the ethics code. And they literally filed complaint after complaint. The county ended up spending probably $1 million just doing investigations on nothing. I was even accused of bribery. I met with Bubba Smith one time in Tracy, and I was all of a sudden being accused of bribery, and I called him up and I said, did I offer you something? And he says, what are you talking about? And I said, well, there's allegations that I tried to bribe you. He goes, with what? And I had nothing to offer. I was still puzzled by it, but you start to find out that these people, and they did this because they saw me as a threat. They saw me actually doing something. And the 2 supervisors that did all these complaints, literally in 8 years, I don't think they ever put 3 things on the agenda to make a difference. In my 8 years, I probably had, I don't want to exaggerate, I probably had 80 to 120 things on the agenda to make a difference and to improve the outcome so that we're serving the public to a greater degree and to an optimal level. So things like that I'm proud of, but wow, and I'll tell you how I dealt with it. I was chairman of the board, and you got the COVID, and you got all these things and masking and all this pressure and all these attacks on me. And there was even one person that said he passed by me in the hallways and threw punches at me. I'm like, who did that? Like, who does? I didn't throw punches at anybody. I'm sleepless. I'm suicidal. I feel threatened when I'm around him. This is all just to build up this complaint, right? And it was just ludicrous. And I'm saying, like, I'm from the private sector. I don't need this. Like, why am I even involved in this? I'm trying to help my community and being treated in such a horrible manner. And I threw that pity party for myself for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm like, wait a second. If all the good I'm doing, and how do I measure good? Am I helping one person and their interests, or is every decision I'm making serving the community to improve outcomes for everybody? Because I never did anything that was sacrificial to one to the benefit of others, right? Or sacrificial to others to the benefit of one. I always made a decision that I knew was the right decision that best served all interests, okay? So if everything I'm doing is following that guiding principle, and it's upsetting them so much, I know what I'll do. I'm going to double down. I'm going to put more things on the agenda. I'm going to have more fun. I'm going to point out their hypocrisy. I'm going to point out the lies and the slander, and I'm just going to relish in the fact that how petty they are and how successful we are when we, as a county, collaboratively work together and make good things happen. It wasn't a one-man show. You can't get things done one man. You need a board support. You need the community involvement. You need buy-in on whatever you're proposing. Otherwise, you're going nowhere. So I was very successful and had a ton of fun making really bringing light, shedding light on such hypocrisy and such shallow-mindedness.
Okay. Yeah. So, how do you think that political division has changed during your time in office, after your time in office? Um, and you gave us a picture of what it looks like at county level, but just what's some more details on it?
Well, every election is going to be a different dynamic. Some people say like, "Oh my God, we miss you so much," right? Whether that's true or not, other people are like, there's a new chapter, and they're working with the new personalities, and the board changes. And I told for the last 2 years, I had a brand new two new supervisors came on, the two divisive supervisors left, and we were accelerating. We were getting so much done, and people were like, "This is the best board I've ever seen in decades," because we got so much done. There was good synergy, good energy, good camaraderie, laughter, joke, kidding, and there was just a great fellowship and a good bonding of people working together. And I'm proud to say that I really was a main part of that. I set a great tone for the two new supervisors, and they excelled. They were fantastic leaders, and they were elected, and they were the right representatives to serve the community that they represent. So we were just on fire. And honestly, I would take the previous 6 years and go through all the nonsense I did just to enjoy those 2 years. But I told those two new supervisors, I said, the next election cycle, the entire dynamics of the sixth floor where our offices are, they're all going to change. Like, oh, come on. I said, mark my words. Everything's going to change, and you'll have new personalities, new opportunity. But understand what we're dealing with right now is a privilege for us to get along as well as we do and to get so many good things. And not that everything was 5-0, not that there wasn't issues that
Right.
needed to be wrestled and discussed with, as it should be.
Right.
But I thoroughly enjoyed those 2 years, and they are transitional because the board's different now than when I was there. For better or worse, doesn't matter. They're doing their job, and they're representing as they should.
Right. So, where do you think young people like us can make the biggest impact in lowering that political polarization in our community, in different communities?
So what's really important to me is focusing on results. What's fantastic about being on the board of supervisors, and it's even city council, is there is no R or D or independent or leftist or conservative. You are just serving. There's no political affiliation to what you do. Some people can assume where you are as a business person, how I might be. I'm very moderate, middle of the road, common sense person, and that's my guiding principle. So where I believe the young next generation needs to be is understand the values and virtues America offers. There's a lot of slander about this country, and I have witnessed the greatest levels of success coming from this country and leading this nation. And in just this last decade, for the first time in the history of the world, more than 50% of the world's population is above the poverty line. That's never happened for thousands of years. What's leading the way? It's freedom and opportunity. Americans hold 90% of the world's patents. Why? Freedom and opportunity. So if we can embrace that, if we can teach that, if we can promote that, and here's where I really think the key component is for your generation is be the mentor, be that voice, be the one that speaks out and leads the way. And you saw somebody agree or disagree with Charlie Kirk, but you saw a young man that started a decade plus ago on the scene talking, engaging in dialogue, and say, oh, well, in proper etiquette is you don't speak politics or religion in company to animosities. No. What we need to teach is civil discourse. I appreciate that you're sharing. Thanks for sharing your opinion. Not sure that we agreed, we can agree to disagree, but I really appreciate the fact that you've got that opinion, and thanks for it. All right, we can appreciate each other as long as we have that respect for each other.
Right.
We shouldn't try to silence. But if we can promote the values and virtues and have a great understanding that the tenets of this country, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, that what we have in front of us is such an incredible gift that not everybody else in the world has. If we can build from that premise and push and promote it, and you guys be the mentors for those around you, speaking out, learning the subjects, learning the things that may agree or disagree with my take on it, and that's fantastic. Explore it, find it out for yourself, own it, talk about it, challenge yourself, and figure out how can I help promote these values and virtues that lead to a successful, high quality life. That's what I would look for, and I'd love to see your generation do. And I am inspired by Manteca, your participation, Trenton, and other youth that I've seen from young ages on. Like, you guys are already involved in leadership, and what a fantastic example. And to build that in your resume, your not only engagement, your value, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your confidence level, all these things that come just from being involved and not sitting around going, well, I don't know, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. It's like, no, it does matter.
Right.
Being involved does matter.
Yeah. So that's all the questions I have. So I'm gonna
Hopefully I wasn't too
open up.
long-winded, and we're
No.
not in overtime yet, are we?
No. But so we can go around if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask. Now is the time.
I'm in the hot seat, so ask.
Yeah.
How does the county interact with city governments?
Very, very interesting. Let me tell you. In my 8 years, I can tell you that I could count on one hand with fingers left over how many times a city manager, a city council member, or any representative from the city had called me as their county supervisor. It was me reaching out to them, offering, "Hey, homeless, what do you need? What can we do? How can, what's going on?" And in fairness, I mean, they're working in their own world. They're handling, and what they're doing is their city. It's not like, inside the city is a university of county anything. So they're handling their business, but we are here. We are part of how we can make something different or better, or help you along. Which I demonstrated on the homeless initiatives that I offered and just promoted. But it's really interesting that everybody kind of works in a silo. It is very interesting. That surprised me because I was the one constantly reaching out.
So do you wish the cities would reach out to the county and and communicate more about what their needs are that the county can contribute to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes there's disconnects, and there was even an issue in Manteca where the staff was being told one thing from staff, and the city's manager and the development and the plans and the annexation, all it's like this wasn't jiving. And our department was telling our CAO, it's like, well, this is what we're going to do, an extension of the landfill, of the transfer station, and we've got 20 years and what is this? I'm like, no, you got like 2 years. This is not. They're like, oh no, that's not what I said. No, listen to me, understand. I'm speaking with the city. I'm engaging on this issue, and I'm telling you that we need to adjust because the county is not going to have a 10 or 20 year window of time to phase out of that. And even when I left office, I had to keep pushing. I'm like, this isn't done. This isn't satisfied yet. I just kept getting a little bit, just reminding people, hey, bring this forward and make sure that you're dotting I's and crossing T's so that there is a good understanding, because it affects the county's function and the city's plans. If you're not having those conversations, you need to.
What was your record in boxing?
I had 60 fights, 55 wins, I lost 5 decisions, a couple of which are quite controversial, but I was never knocked out or stopped or destroyed. And I'm really proud. 2 of my losses, on the 3rd fight, I got them. And to this day is a very dear friend of mine because of it. We just had a great reunion. And while I destroyed his career in boxing and sidelined him turning pro with a big deal, New York City Golden Gloves, we fought each other in semifinals. And this is one of the top fighters in the world. He beat me the first time. He edged me on the second time, and the third time, mentally, psychologically, creative visualization, you name it. I willed myself to beat this much better fighter, and that was my greatest accomplishment, to have that as a benchmark, because he was that good. Yeah. So my own personal Mount Rushmore. Trenton, what do you got for me?
One
I have
second.
nothing.
Okay, I have a question. So when you were in high school or when you were in college, did you ever think that you would be a county supervisor? Did you already have that in mind, or what motivated you to run for office?
This is such a great question, and thank you. I had 0.0 idea, thought, or intent to ever do anything like I just did. And I'll tell you how I got involved. Indulge me for a moment. We're okay on tape, time, whatever. Okay, this is like just a quick couple minutes. So I've had a very adventurous life, and I've done some things and traveled the world, and again, did theater, TV, movies, and I've had boxing. I've done so many wonderful things, and along the way, everybody I know, everybody that ever spent time with me, I made sure we had fun. And if I were to have died, I was like, wow, what a great time we had with him. So one morning I wake up, I open up newspaper, Stockton Record, and I see an obituary, Doug Wilhoit Sr. Now, the Wilhoit family is one of the founding families of San Joaquin County. Bank of Stockton, you name it, the Wilhoit family, even supervisors back then. And Doug Wilhoit was a supervisor for 16 years and starting in the 80s. So I read this obituary. I'm telling you, from the top of the page to the bottom, an entire half that page was his father's obituary. And the things he had done, the organizations he was part of, the initiatives he took, I was floored. And I truly thought for a second, like, what would my obituary look like? Like, literally, local high school, Golden Glove boxing champion, did some movies, we had fun, business guy. I mean, really, truly, there's not much there. There wasn't. And I know it. I know for a fact. So then right around that time, I said, I got to get involved. So I got involved on multiple boards, Crime Stoppers and March of Dimes and Equal Employment Opportunity Committee and like all these different things. I'm like, as a business guy, I'm like, I got to get involved. And I did. So I brought Mike Tyson to town and we barnstormed around to youth groups. Union High, we came here. That was one of the only schools that let us come in. They're like, Mike Tyson, what? We're not sure about that. We came here. And so the last thing we did, we raised money for an orphanage in Kenya called Red Rhino. So we're all done. I'm like, I just padded my resume, like my obituary. I'm like, I really, truly, I'm like, oh, I feel proud. I've done some things. I'm really getting involved. So we're riding back up to the airport. And Mike says, Tommy, he goes, I want you to do something. I said, what? He goes, you need to run for office. I'm like, what in God's name are you talking about? I said, where would you come up with that? I was just going through a divorce. I'm a single dad. I'm a business guy. And if you know business, you got to go through recessions. You got to make payroll. You got to keep sales going. You're constantly crisis, human management, and it's nonstop. And he says, this is where he got me. He goes, you business people complain, but you don't get involved. He goes, your community needs you. You need to get involved. And that right there was the hook. That made the difference. After that, I was approached by a couple more people, and that began the involvement. So it was great. I tell Mike to this day, it was because of him, and I'm really pleased and thankful that I have him as one of my mentors and someone that pushed me, because I really believe I made a difference in many capacities in the county. So I'll just share one quick little thing. There was a local attorney, I won't mention who, but 50 years he has involved in planning commissions, city councils, board of supervisors, and I was out of office for a month or so, and he calls me up. He says, you got a minute? I'm like, I got time. The phone's not ringing lately. So I said, sure. I said, what's going on? He goes, Tom, I just want to tell you something. He goes, in my 50 years of multiple, countless projects and multiple agencies that he dealt with, he goes, you're the best I've ever seen. I'm like, you say that to everybody? He goes, no. He goes, you're the best I've ever seen. I've seen you introduce, I've seen you resurrect, I've seen you challenge, I've seen you save, I've seen you reinvent the county. He goes, unlike anybody I've ever seen. He goes, it's really been a pleasure watching and working with you. And I helped him on projects and such. But that was my trophy. To get a compliment from somebody so respected and experienced, that made everything I went through, it gave me validation, and that was truly like, I did my job. So, but Mike Tyson did it.
And now I do have a question. Explain to everyone what you're doing with Sentinel, or how, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sure. So Sentinel is it. So I got a little free time. I'm out. I had sold my crane business about a few years ago, I'm sorry. And so I'm sitting there and I'm with Mike Tyson, and he had a fight that he didn't fare too well in, and I ran for mayor, which honestly, thankfully, I did not win. I swear I'm so thankful. I appreciate everybody that didn't vote for me, because you kept me out of office. And that didn't, nobody here, because this was Stockton. So I'm out, and I'm like, whew, I have my life back. What do I want to do next? And it's an open slate. I can go back to acting. Boxing is a little bit out, but I can do what do I want business? Okay. What do I want to do? So I'm with Mike about a week after, this is about a year ago. And I said, so you lost your match. I lost my political race. I'm like, what do we do next? He goes, Tommy, he goes, you know how we're always like, with kids and helping out? He goes, what else could we do with them? I said, Mike, you got a good point. I said, we are constantly go to youth groups to have a talk, meet, right? That's one single touch point. What's going on in the inner cities that don't even get that single touch point of somebody giving you a guiding advice, right? But more importantly, what can we do that on a daily basis, positive affirmation, something with parents, teachers, and students, age appropriate, so that we have got a meritocracy of involvement and how to build somebody's self-esteem, how to give them an education of like, what else is out there? What more that you may not be aware of, that you're capable of, that you can get to if you have the positive frame of mind. And it's a mindset you have to trigger. So we were talking about that, and shortly, like days later, I meet somebody that has a program, and I explained to him what I'm planning on doing. He asked me, and then I said, this is what I want to build out. He goes, do you realize what I'm doing right now? And he said, oh, I'm putting together gateways right now. We're starting off with, and I've joined this group now, myself and Tyson. We're starting off with PTSD for veterans, first responders, and this is real. We have a crisis. 20 plus veterans a day are killing themselves on average. Okay, that's not it's a vitamin C deficiency. Once we gave them vitamin C, it fixed itself. It's all better. That's not what's happening. So what can we do to empower? So what Sentinel is a crisis coach. You speak with it, it's yours, it's secure, it's safe, it doesn't jeopardize, it doesn't go anywhere. When you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're sleepless and you've got anxiety on your mind for things you saw, things that happened, things that you're exposed to, you have a safe, intelligent, closed loop. It's evidence-based treatment and lived experience. There's nothing you can say to it. It's not aware of how to tamper down how you feel. More importantly, it is also as sensitive and can interpret up to 16 different emotions. And it will track, yesterday you sounded a lot more positive. What's going on today that you sound like you're down? Sounds like, we can, what's going on? How do we address what's on your mind right now? So it's unique. It was built out over the last couple of years. From that, we're going to have gateways for mentorship. That's where Tyson, Custy, Amato come in. We're going to have business development. We're going to have life coaching so that you have entry points and then you have stepways and gateways to improve. So that's my pet project I'm working on right now. We're showing it to veterans. They're experiencing it. It's overwhelmingly well received. And then the mentorship platform is I'm in the office hours, 7 days a week, just filtering in information and evidence and lived experiences. So we're building out this body of intelligence that can be populated, utilized, and shared. So that's my project. So it's kind of a public servant mindset. But now we're without districts. We're without borders. We can span a nation. We can even span a globe. I was talking with a friend of mine in South Korea. Is the number one suicide country, number one suicides in the world. That's how much of a crisis they have over there. Well, how can we adapt it to that and use that same platform, make it language appropriate and crisis management for those people in those circumstances over there. So I'm working hard on that. That's my pet project.
Is this an app or
It will be an app. Yep, absolutely. And if I say it's AI, it's more IS, intelligent solutions, that's powered by an AI, but again, closed loop, so that it's not going to go off down a rabbit hole. It's very carefully and tightly constrained. And if you're a veteran and you say, I'm in a crisis, life's not worth it, I think tonight's the night I'm going to end it, the phone will ring in a second because you're now being connected to a live person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that's going to handle that immediate crisis. In the meantime, it can also help damper the emotions and the crisis where you're at. Some of the guilt some people have. I mean, watching these veterans talk and seeing them crying and thanking us and like, oh my gosh, I've 5 years of therapy and I've just gotten more out of this. This is more rewarding than anything I've done. and it's immediate, it's available. If you're a veteran, you call the VA, you've got about a 30-day wait before you're going to get scheduled to see somebody. That's a critical 30 days. That can be critical. So that's my new pet project.
Very exciting stuff. Trying to frame this in a very succinct manner. You mentioned Charlie Kirk and his desire to get people to talk to each other. You mentioned having respect for each other. Your app or project, whatever you want to call that, seems to be trying to get people to respect themselves more and to have a healthy perception of the world. Some would argue, as Nihar's been asking, that we are increasingly politically divided, where some people, for example, well, you're the other side, you are automatically evil. Oh yeah, well you just have Trump derangement syndrome. You won't listen to anything the president does and says that anything's good. So my question is, how do you recommend that we as a high school faculty, students, whatever, can encourage people to be less focused on the divisive national whatever noise and more focused on or be more aware of whether it's city level, county level, etc., and seeing each other as people, you know, and not as the enemy.
And that's such a great point, because every algorithm you get, and even your news channels, have just narrowed in on keeping people like so frustrated, and you watch it because that other side is so antagonistic. That's good to find out what your side is, pointing out how wrong the other side is, right? So you're being fed this frenzy, and we are more divisive than ever. But here's to answer exactly your question. I thought about this. We have so much more in common than what divides us. You need to highlight that. Do you care about public safety? Yes, I do. All right, now forget about one person doesn't believe you need to prosecute any criminal activity, and the other person thinks like, no, you have to have the strong arm of the law. Forget about that. You want a safe community? So do I. We agree on that. Check that box. Do you believe we should have good, clean, safe water? Yes, absolutely. We check that box. Do you think we should have affordable cost of living? Absolutely. Check that box. We have so many more things in common than what's going to divide us, that if we find that middle ground of solutions and understanding, and even agreeing to disagree, but understands like, see, this is our community. We're all in this together. I appreciate your volunteering. Glad you're here. Being that leader, being that mentor, praising somebody and recognizing, letting them know they've been seen, letting them know that that their time, their dedication is valued. Sure, you might have pink hair and I've got blue hair, and we seem to be opposites. Who cares? We're here. We have a common interest in this community. That's for us to have a good, healthy, productive life. However you might define that life to be, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's freedom, as the tenets of our Constitution and the amendments allow. So to me, highlight the commonalities and celebrate those small victories of unity. That I believe is more galvanizing than it's like when you go to your football game, right? You have the Union High School and the students, the student body, everybody's right. East Union, yeah, bonded together against the opposition, right? Isn't that really truly our society? We really should be pro-America. We should be celebrating freedoms and opportunities and promoting the values and virtues of this great country. We can agree that we are imperfect, as all systems are, but I venture to say that we fall on the margin of the least imperfect than the most problematic. And if we can focus on the here and now, not the past guilt, not the evil anything or the bad, we have opportunities here and now to focus on. Let's take advantage of it. You only have one life. Let's have a great go at it and join and work together for it.
Okay. To reframe just slightly, is there content out there from recordings, whatever, anything, from past supervisor meetings, county level stuff, more local stuff, that's not focused on state frustrations or federal frustrations, but is more local to help people recognize that we do have more in common than we have that separates us? Is there content out there that we can use even in the classroom to help people have a different perspective of the here and not all of out?
Well, you don't have to go far. You can go to your city council meeting. You can go to any board of supervisors. 99.999% of anything discussed is local. That's just absolutely factual. During COVID, there were state things or federal things, funding or whatever that might come along. But the reality is 99.9% of all your meetings are about local growth, local initiatives, local challenges, local nonprofits, whatever's going on. That's your government, and all government really is local. So things that trickle down from the federal, that's money in the House being allocated. Some of it's earmarked, and we have no control of it. And others is sometimes it's discretionary, and you want to pay attention to what is the discretionary dollars doing? Where are we going with our local community? Where are the greater needs that have been unmet? And that's what you can join together over. I mean, Jack Snyder locally single-handedly spearheaded an effort to put the 120 bypass in. And every weekend he was on Yosemite Street getting petitions signed. People were waiting for hours to get to and from Lake Yosemite during the summer, literally hours on your single lane, downtown in the cross section, right? And the people, so you had people out there, he and others were signing petitions. It's 60-something thousand signatures that he drove up to Sacramento and was met by representatives because he did this in a local community effort to put that bypass, that 120 bypass in. That's as local as you get, right? And that transformed the quality of life for people that they were living right here. What an amazing example that Jack Snyder initiated and did that.
Thank you. So I'm assuming that in addition to going to meetings, there are some recordings out there at some level, or not really? We have to,
Oh, every meeting is recorded.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Every meeting is recorded. The question is what's on the agenda that's of interest.
Right.
And you find that online and say, oh, okay, that's a local issue. It takes some research, but you also might find if you went down to your clerk of the city or even clerk of the board for the county, and ask them, what meetings they remember, they can recall. What meetings would you say are a couple of loaded local issues that we can use in school and kind of highlight some of the importance of engagement that made a difference? And I would bet you could get some help. They more than just like, oh, go online, because where do you start? You got countless hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we FaceTime Mike Tyson?
At the moment, no.
Just
Nope.
had to ask.
Yeah. He's Lord only knows where. I was just with him a week and a half ago where we had a 40-year anniversary reunion when our mentor Custy Amato passed away 40 years ago. So we were up in Catskill and dedicating the gym, and I gave an amazing speech. Honestly, it was awesome. So it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, being in politics as I was for the last 8+ years and 10 years effort and speeches and doing what I did. Nobody in Catskill had ever seen that side of me. So here I am up there giving a speech. They're just like, "Oh my gosh! Like, where have you been, and how'd that all happen?" And it was well done. So I was proud of that.
Unrelated boxing or whatever, going back to you. What do you do on the daily just to relax? Because you seem to have so much going on.
So I don't do much of it. I'm in my office 7 days a week working. And I'll take time. I'll watch TV. I'll unwind. It takes me a couple hours to slow down. My mind's always racing of go, go, go. I don't know if you guys know, but I was hit by a car about 14 years ago. I was walking across the street. A car slammed into me doing like 40-something miles an hour. And so I literally could have died, obviously. And so ever since that happened, I'm living as if today is my last day. It's the most bizarre. It was a major mind shift that and I think my daughter has a hard time understanding that I want to keep teaching her, telling her stuff, because it can really end any day. And so I have today to get something done, and I got to get it out. I got to get something done because I don't know about tomorrow. I'm lucky and blessed to have today. So I'm going to keep working and pushing and making something good happen. That was a real game changer for me. It really was. And it truly was just over 14 years ago. I got up and walked away, and I've had 4 spine surgeries and almost died from one of them. But, I'm just going to keep going.
Do you ever feel like you might burn out?
No. No.
I get that.
That's great. Yeah.
I do take 1 week in between Christmas and New Year's, and a girlfriend or something will go away. No phone, no TV, no internet, no news, nothing. and that's my 100% unwind time. And it's like sunshine pool with a swim up bar, and I'll be like, I just keep doing that. I don't know, just involuntarily, I keep just, it's just really weird. I just unwind, and then I come back and I'm ready to go. So, yeah, but I have to tell you, it comes at a price. It definitely comes at a price. I've been sacrificial to relationships. I've lost time with my daughter because I've had to just go, go, go. But I learned when I was very, very young that everything in life's a trade-off. You give up something to gain something. And so I'm determined that in this final phase of my life, I'm in my 60s now, I'm in my final phase, next 20 years, God willing. And if I'm blessed with that, I'm going to make those productive legacy years so that when I leave, they'll be like, that was profound. He did a good job. That's kind of where I'm at, my mindset. Yes.
So what are some key businesses that you are involved in?
Currently, I've got a couple of real estate investments, and then I'm looking at a couple of businesses. One business in particular, even yesterday, I met with considering buying that I could operate it. I like businesses that I can build a system that it becomes self-sustaining. So I'm working on that right now, and then more importantly is the what I'm talking basically to you guys about, this mentorship. I'm also building out a profile of mentorship for being a keynote speaker, and then having an online platform where people, executives and leaders, can come on board. And a lot of people live a sacrificial life. They've forsaken family, their own well-being, and they're just so bent and determined on success that, and oftentimes some of the issues that might be compelling them to be so driven might also be undermining their satisfaction of where they're at. So I'm working with the team, and we're kind of mapping out what would be about an 8-week program, so that people sign on and they'll go through an 8-week gateway program. So by the time you're done, we've got this like victory every day mentality, and we're going to have these defined lessons and a great program. So when you're done with that, we want you to be more benevolent. We want you to be the mentor, and we want you to bring to fruition a great level of satisfaction and accomplishment for yourself. So you're like, I'm proud. I did good. I'm okay where I'm at, and not be neglectful to yourself. So these are kind of an accumulation of a lot of things I've done coming together. And there's a lot of excitement with the group I'm working with. Like, wait, you're a boxer with Mike Tyson and Cus D'Amato, like the Cus D'Amato, and then you're 14 years in Hollywood, you did TV, theater, movies, and rejection galore, and and some acclaim, and then business, and then politics. Like, oh my gosh, like you've got a lot to share, right? And there's a lot of lessons there, but it really goes to that root core. I would encourage you, young guys and girls, to who is your mentor? Who can you learn from? Who's going to help you with those building blocks? And don't be shy to ask. Don't be afraid to latch on. You're like, I would love to learn your specialty, your expertise, your gateway to success. How'd you get there? And you'll find out. They made a commitment. It was not a short-term commitment. It wasn't for ease and luxury. You might see them living a good life and doing well now, but what did it take to get there? And I'm willing to do that. I'll give you an example. When I first contacted Cus D'Amato, I was invited to call him on the phone. He was this legendary boxing trainer and manager, single-handedly took apart by himself against newspaper influence. Every writer was on the payroll, against a monopoly and an underworld of mobsters and killers that controlled the sport of boxing. Cus single-handedly went in, made Floyd Patterson the youngest heavyweight champion ever, and stayed that way until Cus's last fighter, Tyson, became the youngest heavyweight champion ever. But Cus single-handedly unwound all that underworld that controlled the sport and opened up purses for the fighters and opportunity without being suppressed, or you're going to take a dive, you're going to lose, your title's not yours anymore. It was all manipulated. So I'm on the phone now. I'm being invited to speak to Cus on the phone, and because I'm a boxer in Stockton, I knew my interest level exceeded Stockton. I knew I needed to go further. So I speak to Cus on the phone, and he asked me one question. He said, "Why do you want to be a fighter?" Had I said anything different, he would have said, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, because I watched him hang up on people. I said, Cuss, I want to be middleweight champion of the world, and I think you can help me. He said, I want to meet you. Had I said, oh, make some money, we'll try it out, you'll figure out. So, I'm sorry, I'm not in, and he'd hang up. Money is not the reward. Money is not the goal. It's a reward, but it's not the objective. It's too thin. When the going gets tough and you're in a bad instance, like, well, I got paid, who cares? No, I'm demanding greatness. I'm demanding that I'm going to win. I exceed under pressure. I will thrive and not only survive, but I will persevere. He wants that person. And that's what I did for the time. And he was that mentor for me. So I would just encourage, again, you younger guys and gals to really, what can I do deliberately that will bring the net results of what I want in my life? Because it's not karma. It's not going to happen by destiny or by chance or accident. It is your life is the gift and the opportunity you've been given. What you do of it is going to be entirely up to the choices you make and the amount of effort and the extra effort you put into it. It's not just the effort, it's the extra effort. Michael Jordan, we all know he got cut from his sophomore year on the basketball team. Now, he could have easily, man, that coach ain't nothing. I don't need that. And just gone away and done nothing, right? Could have just, I don't need this. I'm better than all them. Instead, he doubled down, he worked hard, and he made the team the next year. Then his college coach, I saw an interview recently where he asked mid-year, he says, how do you think you're doing? He says, I'm doing pretty good, coach. He goes, you're satisfied? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, I'm really disappointed that that's your answer. He looked at me kind of puzzled. He goes, when you came here, you said you wanted to be great. I'm not seeing the effort from you that would distinguish you from being pretty good to being great. I expect more from you. And he goes, and from that moment forward, he goes, he stepped up to an even greater degree. And again, put in that extra effort. When I was sleeping in Catskill, here, Tyson and I and other fighters, we trained 7 days a week. There was no day off and the rest in the body. No, we trained 7 days a week. We're dedicated. We're living in upstate New York. You are isolated. There's no fun at the clubs in the cities and the girls and all these distractions and fun. We are dedicated. We're living a Spartan life. I'd wake up at anywhere between 2:30 to 4 in the morning. I'd hear Tyson in the bedroom above me already training. Shadow boxing against films of Jack Dempsey or Joe Louis, or fighting guys that are just great epic fighters. Mike's studying their movements. He's emulating, he's focusing, he's shifting, he's practicing all the moves we were being taught that made us a better fighter than the rest. And the science that Cuss taught us, which was a major advantage that other fighters would never have the privilege to experience. So it's not the effort, but it's that extra effort that you're going to put in that's going to make a difference. And that's everything I've ever done is based on that extra effort I can put in. Those are great lessons for me. I mean, I know, listen, I can tell you right now, every adult here has the story, can tell you the same things I'm telling you. I just happen to have the privilege of being served as a county supervisor, but your story, your journey, what your mother and father went through, I mean, it's such a unique, fantastic, wonderful, one-of-a-kind story, right? Everybody here has that great story of how they persevered, the good choices they made. Could have gone another way. You knew people that made other choices. You knew people that said they went and started doing this, they went that way. You're like, I'll see you later. I mean, come on, let's keep doing it. Like, no, all right, I'm going to keep going forward with my good choices. And others don't make those choices. So the biggest factor is, you'll be discouraged. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be lonely at times. Yes, it's not easy, and it shouldn't be. Here's the greatest thing I can finish with, if we're good on time, is imagine each and every person here. If you waited in line, let's say you love roller coasters. You love amusement parks, and there's this new phenomenal mystery ride everybody's talking about, and people have traveled from around the world. You are first in line. You got there 2 weeks earlier. You stood there. Nobody was going to take that ride before you did, because you wanted to be the first person. You're that dedicated to this amazing one-of-a-kind ride. You get on the ride by yourself. You go through this little dark tunnel that you don't know what is about to happen. It's a complete mystery. And you come out of this dark tunnel and you see this right in front of you. There's this little flat track that goes in this slow circle There's no there's no heights, there's no drops, there's no twists or turns. It's just a slow little track and comes around, goes to this little dark thing. You get out and you're like, what a disappointment. Imagine if that was your life, that boring. Instead, don't you want to have those peaks where you're like, oh my God, look at how glorious this is. And, oh, it's so dark and deep and scary down here. And there's a sudden bump and twist and turn. And you're like, when it's all done, you're like, what a ride. That was amazing. And I stuck with it. And I even raised my hands and it was scary. And I got over those challenges and the peaks and valleys. It was all so worth it, right? That's living a great, meaningful, and exciting life based on choices you make. Your life is the mystery that's yet to unfold, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think, thank you so much.
Did we run out of film?
You're aging yourself.
The old days, right?
That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, thank you guys. I really,
Thank you.
having been a supervisor and to get a call and being invited to speak, I'm like, really? You guys want me to come talk? It's like, so I thank you for the opportunity to see you all again, and great smiles. And listen, you guys are the future, man. I'm so proud of you guys, and just be involved and find, be the anti-bully. Find the kid that's quiet and shy, and be their best friend. Like, what do you need? What's going on? What emotion they have? Are they being rejected or alone? Be that leader that helps somebody smile every day, and find that compliment. Find that reason to tell somebody, give somebody a compliment. How easy is that? You have a great smile. I really love seeing your smile, right? I mean, isn't that nice to have and to do? So, you guys can really shine by don't be quiet and shy and timid, but just lead the way. You just give people compliments all day long and just have fun. Put good positive energy around you, and you're going to bring good positive results to you. It is energy that really matters.
And I think that's also a great answer for Peter's question.
Yes. Yes, it's about the positivity. And in fact, that's one of the things I think that East Union is trying to do, is increase our level of positivity and how we celebrate students and that kind of thing. We have a long way to go, but I think we're making strides in that direction. And certainly what the students do matter in that regard. Which is why this is a pretty cool club, and thanks for being here. And
I have one question for you. In my program that I'm working on, I've referenced this, and I remember back when I was a little Cub Scout with my little blue uniform on, and roll up the yellow tie and band and hold it up.
Neckerchief, yeah.
But more importantly, you put on your Bobcat pin,
Mm-hmm.
and it had to be upside down.
Yeah.
And until you did your good deed, could you turn it right side right? And boy, when you did your good deed, you're like,
Your good turn daily.
you had to, but you knew you started that day with that Bobcat pin upside down, right? So what could be an East Union pin that's upside down, and every day you have to do something to turn it right side right. You have to have done something for someone or something in the community to help make it better.
maybe a Lancer shield or graduation cap.
Something, right?
Fun idea.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like a cool little.
Mm-hmm.
And you identify what's the 10 things we could do that qualify for turning your pin right side right. Give someone a compliment, help like pick up a piece of garbage, like something, right? Easy. Make it super easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, stop it. Turn the camera off.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Proud of you.
Yeah, take a picture.